Good evening, everybody. Quick notice before we start today's video. If you watched episode 100 of the Celtic the Thunder podcast, you'll be familiar with this already. You'll also be familiar if you keep up with us on Twitter. However, if you don't know, as we mentioned on episode 100 of the podcast, we will be giving away £200 to a charity of our choice this Christmas time. We've decided to go with the Children's Hospices Across Scotland charity, CHAS. And we've set up a Just Giving if anyone would like to add to the fund. There's no pressure at all for anyone to donate. Of course, at this time of year, it's understandable that money isn't easy to throw away or whatnot. However, we would ask a donation even as small as £1 to this great cause would be so much appreciated. Chaz do vital work for families across Scotland with children on end-of-life support. And they are so underfunded and only able to help 1 in 3 families who desperately need their help. There is more information about the charity and such in the link below, but the link below will take you to the Just Giving, where we have already raised well over our target. We were hoping to raise £500. We've cleared 500 already, but if we could raise any amount of money more than that, it would be greatly appreciated. So please make sure to go into the description below, check out the Just Giving link, and if you can help out, that would be great. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and it's nice to do a match reaction where Celtic have actually won the game. We've done the job, we've got 3 points at Celtic Park, a 2-0 win right before Christmas. Probably the best gift I could have asked for, so let's talk about that. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. It'd be very much appreciated. They're heading towards that 50,000 mark, so be generous this Christmas time. Go down below, hit both those buttons. It's absolutely free. It would be much appreciated. Celtic 2, Livingston 0. That's the result we needed. It might not be the most beautiful performance you'll ever see. It might not be the best result in the world. You probably wanted more goals than 2 today. However, the most important thing for Celtic was making sure that we got 3 points, and a convincing 3 points at that. And listen, despite some moments in the game where it wasn't pretty and some segments of play that probably weren't the best, we'll come on to that. We got the job done, and there was no bother about it, really. We just had to go out there from start to finish and win the game and win it without many troubles. And it was probably as close as you could get to your typical Saturday 3 o'clock in winter time. You go there, you get the job done. It's not as if you're coming home absolutely buzzing with some of the football you've seen, but you've got your 3 points. And in recent times, 3 points hasn't been the easiest thing for Celtic to get. So ultimately, that's made my Christmas. I only wanted 3 points today, and we managed to do that. Livingston, of course, have been pretty poor this season, so it was paramount for Celtic to go out there and get the job done. If we drop points for the 2nd consecutive game at Celtic Park, or if we lost, even worse, thinking about another loss at Celtic Park back to back, serious questions would have been asked. And look, listen, it's not flawless today by any stretch of the imagination, but a good second half performance got the job done. Some very good goals, and it could have been more. Let's be real. It could have been 3, 4, 5, 6 today if Celtic decided to take more of their chances in the first half of the game. Sadly, they didn't. And that's a kind of minor concern moving into the Derby game next week. But on that note, winning before the Derby was huge. We had to get some confidence back in our camp. There is a sort of uncertainty with the game on Tuesday night, with the game in Dundee being called off this afternoon. So who knows yet if we're going to be playing on Tuesday night for definite. So winning was huge for us, especially with Rangers building some momentum in recent weeks. We really had to eliminate that sort of toxic feeling that there was at Celtic Park in the Hearts game, that general negativity that was starting to kind of build in the stands in recent games, and we had to just go out there and win today, and we got that, so happy days. I don't care if you don't agree with me at this point. I'm just going to say it because I want to get it out there. What a difference it makes having the Green Brigade back in the stadium. Just first and foremost, before we get into the game itself, the atmosphere, brilliant. Fantastic. It was good to just feel like you were back at Celtic Park today, because let's be real, it hasn't felt like Celtic Park for the last couple of months since they banned the Green Brigade. It was nice to hear the crowd singing in unison. It was nice to hear the constant singing and chants back. It's just great to have them in, and you can see the difference it makes. And if you don't think that there's a difference, you're in denial. It's as simple as that. They make a massive difference to the atmosphere within the stadium. Whether you agree with the group, whether you disagree with the group, it's just simply fact that the difference in atmosphere is incredible. It's felt like a library. It's felt dire to go to. And it's madness what, a couple of hundred people bringing a bit of atmosphere to the ground does. And you can see it wearing off in the team. I thought that we started the game really, really well. I think that was, down to the crowd feeding the atmosphere to them. And, that's not just the group that's responsible for that, but you've seen it emanate its way around the ground because you have that catalyst there. And the team fed off that. It makes a massive difference. It's about time they're back in the stadium. I just wish that they were there in recent games when the club and the team have been struggling, because who knows, maybe it would have made a difference. We have been really poor, but without that catalyst, things have been tough, and you can see the big difference today, so nice to see them back. So let's talk about the game itself then, shall we? Let's have a run through, if possible, what was a standard game of football. Nothing incredible, nothing terrible either. Team sheet, I got 11 out of 11. I predicted the team exactly, and I think that this may be a bit premature to say, depending how Tuesday goes, and obviously if we get any updates on fitness or such. Touch wood, no injuries. I think that that's probably going to be the 11 that starts against Rangers next week. It should be the 11 that starts against Rangers next week, if the squad availability remains the same. They started the game pretty well, I thought. First 20-25 minutes, thought we were really, really good. Some fast football, a bit of direct attacking from us, both on the wings and through the middle. We were creating chances, but the problem was we just weren't taking the chances. And I'm not going to lie, I was getting the fear a little bit that would come back to bite us. But we looked good in the first 20-25 minutes. The only problem is with the rest of the first half is the performance fell off a cliff, and the standards dropped a little bit, and it went really flat really quickly. From about the 25th minute onwards, they looked like a completely different team out there, and that was concerning. Going into half time, I mean, if you spoke to anybody at half time, whether it be somebody you're at the game with or someone you sit around, you probably got the same sort of reaction, and it wasn't the happiest of reactions, because the team's performance did take a bit of a nosedive. And that's one thing that's really bothered me this season, and I've really struggled to understand why there can't be a consistency in what we do on the park this season. It feels like we can't keep up a certain level of football through an extended period of time. We have had to break down Celtic's performances this season into either halves or segments. So you either play well in one half and play poor in the other, or you play well for 20 minutes and then you play poorly for another 20 minutes. There's no consistency in our kind of phases in play. And in the last 20 minutes of the first half, we were really, really poor. We started becoming a little bit lackadaisical. We weren't creating as many chances, and when we were creating chances, it was, half chances at most that weren't convincing at all. Players started getting sloppier in the ball, especially I thought the wingers. I thought Maida and Palma were different looking players in the closing segments of the second half to the opening segments of the second half. Things just took a real drop. And that was annoying, and that was something that obviously needed addressed at half time. Evidently was addressed at half time, and we'll talk about the second half in a minute. But yeah, just frustrating, because if we keep up that same standard of football that we played in the opening 2025, the goals were coming. There's no doubt about it, the goals were coming. We were all over Livingston, they weren't getting a chance. It's just so frustrating when you see that kind of standard drop. And more annoyingly is the fact that in that kind of closing 5 minutes of the first half, Livingston actually started having a good go at it. And I don't know if it's just because we've been poor in recent weeks. I was a little bit nervous. I could see a Livingston goal happening in that 5 minutes. They got a couple of corners, a couple of balls into the box. It was a bit scrappy trying to defend it. And I was a little bit nervous. I was kind of on the edge of my seat waiting for Livingston to score a goal in that closing 5 minutes. So not only do you drop off in the quality of creating chances, but you also then allow confidence to build for the opposition. And I'm not going to say that we were that poor that Livingston would have went on to score a goal, but I'm glad half-time came along when it did. I'm not going to rewrite my thoughts of the game just because we played well in the second half. At half-time, I was glad that whistle went, because we did drop off for that closing 5 minutes. Real bad. And I thought Livingston could have easily found their way back into the game. So, that needs addressed. We need to be able to extend our level of performance over, a full half or longer. We can't keep doing these things in phases or periods. We need to just keep the consistency up. And I'm glad that it looks as though they had a little bit of a talk at half time to sort that out, because we addressed it pretty quickly. I mean, what a way to start the second half, and what a goal from Kyogo, who I was given a lot of stick in the first half, personally. I thought he was really poor in the first half. I thought he was just an empty jersey. I thought he was pretty vacant in the game. And you know, a lot of people have been talking about how Brendan Rodgers has affected Kyogo and playing him differently, but at some point you've got to talk about Kyogo just not being at his best this season, because he hasn't been his best this season, but that was back to his best at the start of the second half. It's a tremendous finish from the wee man. It gets us the goal as soon as the second half kicks off, and it sets the tone for the rest of the game. It was the perfect start. It was the start that we needed in that second half. Kind of eased any tension that was kind of in the Celtic crowd going into the second half. It's a great goal, and it's a great assist from Luis Palma as well. Just smart from him. He obviously gets the second assist as well, but the first goal's a cracker. It kind of opened Livingston up, but it had to kind of force them into thinking about changing up, because that's the thing, first half, for as much criticism that we can give Celtic for maybe not creating as many chances, Livingston did nullify our chances. They did set up that way you'd expect them to set up. They were blocking everything that came at them. But with that goal very early in the first half, it kind of opened them up a little bit more. And then 5 minutes later, you get your second goal. Liam Scales on the score sheet. You love to see it, a headed goal. It feels like we just don't get many goals like that, do we? But we got that one, and Palma again with another assist. It was a great cross into Scales, and that put the game to bed there and then for the rest of the game. We could have took a back seat, and do you know what? As much as we didn't maybe create hundreds of chances to talk about and give a spectacle to write home about here, we were in total control, and we could have probably got another couple into the bargain as well. So it was nice to get the job done so early in the second half, but whatever was said and whatever was tweaked at half time to go out there and get those goals quick fire, more of that please. Give us that same energy, give us that same sort of intensity over the course of 90 minutes rather than in bursts or in spells. That's what we need, and that's what wins Celtic games. So second half, I mean, we just saw it out, didn't we? There's not an awful lot to talk about. I'm just glad that we've went out there and won the game. We really needed that. It's a massive boost for us. And look, it's a game you expect to win. It's the bare minimum to beat Livingston at Celtic Park. So it's nothing to get too carried away with, of course. But, you know, these things matter. And especially before derby games, you want to be going in on confidence. If we lost to Hearts this week, it would have made it a harder game next week for us. So it's good to get 3 points before it. I thought that there was very little negatives to talk about in today's game in terms of individual performances. I thought everybody put out a good shift. A couple of players still kind of annoying in certain points, but listen, it's Christmas time. I'm not going to be a bah humbug. Let's just be happy. Celtic have won the game. So, it's a bit of a lesser match reaction than usual. Usually I'd go far more in depth. The manager's comments and such are out now as well, so you can go and check all of that out. We'll probably talk about things more in depth either tomorrow or Monday or whenever I'm back in the channel. It's Christmas. I'm going to have a drink. It's Christmas. Go and enjoy yourselves. On that note, if I'm not back on the channel, either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, everybody have a safe and a blessed Christmas. I wish you the absolute best. I hope Santa is good to you. And for everybody who might watch the channel that doesn't celebrate Christmas, have a great weekend. Have a great time. But thank you for the continued support throughout the year. Enjoy yourselves. That's my main message. So Merry Christmas. Happy returns for myself. And God bless. So until next time, make sure to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you whenever that will be.